Hey everybody in forensics, Mr. Douglas here. What we're going to do is we're going to go over what we did today in class. Today was the 13th of September, and today we were talking about how do we process a crime scene. Now, we spent a lot of time going over the four main people who show up when it's time to investigate a crime scene. And those are the police officers, who are the first ones on the scene, the crime scene investigators, or the CSIs, and what their job is to document the crime scene. So they're looking for photographs, evidence, and anything else that needs to be sent over to the lab. That's their responsibility. And then we have the forensic pathologists. They're only going to show up when there is a body, because their job is to figure out the path. That's why the word path is in pathologist. The path that the body took from being alive to being deceased. And they're going to do that. They'll collect the body, bring it back to a lab for an autopsy, and inform next of kin, which is the family members of that particular individual. And then you have your detectives. Your detective's job is to interview witnesses. They're going to investigate the crimes to find a suspect, and they'll use the evidence from the crime scene to help them and get some leads from witnesses. So there's the four main personnel that you'll find at any crime scene. Then we watched this particular video about how to protect a crime scene, and it showed us the outfit that you would wear if you were in CSI, and how we wear the gloves, the boots, the full-blown suit. They call it a bunny suit because it's all white. You wear the mask, all the good stuff that comes along with that. So take a chance, come over here and click this video to watch it when you get a chance. Some of the classes, we read this article today, and then what we did was we put these steps in order for what we did in terms of how do we properly address a crime scene. And when we put them in order, we find out that the first thing we got to do is secure the area. Second thing is to walk the perimeter of the crime scene, looking for more evidence. Then we're going to start to photograph it. That's step 3. Step 4 is we're going to make a crime scene sketch, so we have this for later to look at, to compare with our notes. And the last thing we'll do is we'll collect all of our evidence and then send it over to the lab. So the most important thing is to make sure that all of the work is done before we leave the crime scene, because we can't sometimes go back. We looked at different methods. This is our spiral method. We looked at the strip or parallel method as well, kind of canvassing from opposite ends of the scene. Then we looked at the grid method. This is the most complex and the one that's going to cover the most area most effectively. And then we also talked about the quadrant or zone search method, which is where we break a scene up into smaller chunks, and then we're investigating only one smaller piece. We talked about how do we make an evidence label with the case number, evidence number, location, description of the evidence, date and time it's recovered, and who recovered it. Remember, the main reason why we talked about this is because the person who collects the evidence is responsible for making sure that it's not messed up, it's not contaminated by something else. So it's really important that we follow specific procedures to be able to do this. In one of our classes today, we talked about a small fire being set, and we made an evidence label over here. We talked about how an evidence bag always has to be sealed, and that's to make sure that the contents inside aren't tampered with or messed up. Because remember, the goal is to make sure that people are being convicted with good evidence, and also are being found innocent with good evidence as well too. So remember, we said we have to initial and date across the tape, because then if the tape is ever pulled, we'll know right away that somebody was tampering with that evidence. So we talked about again here, and this led us into this idea of the chain of custody, and which links the crime scene to the courtroom. So anybody who is holding that evidence before it goes into the courtroom is going to have their name placed onto something called the chain of possession. All right, the chain of possession. And what I'll do is I'm going to share something which is going to have this link down here. It has a little bit more about that if you want to read more about it. But basically, everybody who touches that has to be accounted for, so that we can say what the evidence was not tampered with. Okay, and we look at this picture here and talked a little bit more about it. So when I see you on the next class, we're going to talk a little bit about photography and how to photograph a crime scene. So it's going to be kind of fun. So make sure you have your cell phones charged, because we're going to take some photographs. All right. So then I will see you in class. Have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful day. And I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.